The world held its breath. News trickled in, fragmented and chaotic, painting a picture of a tragedy unfolding. Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi's helicopter had vanished. It disappeared into a curtain of thick fog somewhere over the rugged, unforgiving terrain of the Alborz Mountains. The initial reports were sketchy, filled with uncertainty and dread. A chill settled over the nation, a chilling premonition of disaster. The Alborz, a towering range that stretches across northern Iran, is known for its treacherous peaks and unpredictable weather. It's a landscape of stark beauty where jagged ridges pierce the sky and valleys plunge into deep shadow. In winter, the mountains are cloaked in heavy snow and dense fog often rolls in, obscuring the world in a blinding whiteout. It was in this unforgiving environment that the presidential helicopter vanished, swallowed by the mist and silence. As the news spread, a wave of disbelief and fear washed over Iran. People huddled around radios and televisions, desperately seeking information. The uncertainty was agonizing. Had the helicopter crashed? Were there survivors? The questions hung in the air unanswered, amplifying the growing sense of dread. The rescue operation began immediately, but it was a daunting task. The fog was relentless, reducing visibility to almost zero. Helicopters, hampered by the thick mist, struggled to navigate the treacherous terrain. Ground teams, facing freezing temperatures and treacherous slopes, battled their way through the blinding whiteness. Every moment was precious, every step fraught with danger. Time seemed to warp in the face of the crisis. Minutes stretched into hours, and hope began to dwindle with the fading light. The rescuers, driven by a desperate sense of urgency, pressed on, their determination fueled by the faintest glimmer of hope. They knew that every second counted, that somewhere in that white wilderness lives hung in the balance. The fog, however, remained an unyielding adversary. It clung to the mountains, a thick, suffocating blanket, muffling sound and obscuring vision. It was as if the very landscape was conspiring to keep its secrets hidden, to frustrate the efforts of those who dared to penetrate its depths. The mountains, in their silent majesty, held the answers, but they were in no hurry to reveal them. The waiting was the hardest part. The silence from the crash site was deafening. The lack of communication fueled the anxiety, gnawing at the edges of hope. Families of those on board huddled together, their faces etched with worry, their hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. They clung to each other, drawing strength from shared grief and the desperate prayer for a miracle. The nation was on edge, united in a collective sense of anxiety. The political landscape, normally a stage for heated debate and fierce rivalry, seemed to fade into irrelevance. All eyes were on the mountains, waiting for news, for any sign of life, for any indication of the fate of the president and those who were with him. The international community, too, watched with growing concern. Messages of support poured in from across the globe, a testament to the universal fear and tension that such catastrophic events evoke. In the face of such tragedy, political differences seemed to dissolve, replaced by a shared sense of humanity and a collective yearning for good news. The rescuers, undeterred by the challenging conditions, continued their relentless search. They scoured the fog-choked valleys, their headlamps piercing the thick white mist. They listened for the faintest of sounds, the echo of a voice, the whirring of machinery, anything that might lead them to the crash site. As the hours turned into days, the sense of urgency intensified. The weather remained unforgiving, the terrain treacherous, and the silence from the mountains heavy and absolute. The rescuers, weary but resolute, pressed on, their determination fueled by the knowledge that every passing moment diminished the chances of finding survivors. The search was a race against time, a desperate battle against the elements and the unforgiving landscape. The rescuers, their faces grim, their movements driven by purpose, understood the gravity of their mission. They were the only link to those lost in the fog, the only hope in a situation that seemed increasingly desperate. The silence from the mountains was a crushing weight. It pressed down on the nation, suffocating hope and amplifying the fear. The lack of news was a torment, a constant reminder of the unknown fate of the president and his companions. The silence spoke volumes, hinting at the worst, yet offering no confirmation, no solace. Days turned into nights, and the nights were long and filled with dread. The families of those missing clung to the slimmest of hopes, praying for a miracle. The nation, shrouded in grief and uncertainty, waited with bated breath for any news, for any indication of what had transpired in the fog-covered peaks of the Alborz. The world watched and waited, sharing in the collective anxiety. The silence from the mountains had become a global concern, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the capricious nature of fate. In the absence of information, speculation ran rampant, fueled by the fear of the unknown and the desperate need for answers. The helicopter crash, shrouded in the mists of the Alborz, was more than just an accident. It was a stark reminder of the vulnerability of even the most powerful figures, of the unpredictable nature of life and the indiscriminate reach of tragedy. The incident transcended national borders, becoming a shared human experience, uniting the world in a collective gasp of fear and concern. The world held its breath, waiting for news, hoping for a miracle. The silence from the mountains served as a poignant reminder of the power of nature, the fragility of life, and the uncertainty that hangs over our existence. It was a silence that spoke volumes, a silence that resonated with the deepest fears and anxieties of a world holding its breath. The incident left an indelible mark on the national psyche, a haunting reminder of the capricious nature of fate. The search for answers continued, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of tragedy. The world watched and waited, hoping against hope for a glimmer of light in the fog-covered mountains, for a sign that life, however fragile, could endure even in the face of such overwhelming adversity.